Look closely at the suffocating dead leaves and thick gray webs draped across Greenwood the Great, an ancient forest that would eventually be renamed Mirkwood. This rot defies natural ecological cycles. We are looking at a supernatural murder. This topographical map tracks the blight. A dark corruption expands from a single southern coordinate, behaving like a geographical pathogen. The decay follows a strict radial pattern, growing weaker from ground zero. These vectors converge on a concentrated physical entity anchored in the south. That entity was Sauron, a powerful, malevolent spirit who sought absolute dominion over Middle-earth. During the early centuries of the Third Age, a historical period spanning roughly 3,000 years, he lacked his one ring and a physical body, so he used this remote woodland to quietly rebuild his strength. Without the power required to construct towering monuments of iron and stone, his dark magic bled directly into the biological soil, weaponizing the environment itself to serve as his fortress. If you follow the dying forest canopy to its center, the rotting wood gives way to the jagged, mutated black basalt of Amon Lanc. Amon Lanc was a prominent, elevated hill located in the southern part of the forest. This is environmental necrosis. Prolonged exposure to Sauron's presence stripped the hill of life, baking stone into a barren shell. The naked, mutated stone of Amon Lanc provides clinical evidence of his methodology. Sauron's evil operates as a terminal physical infection, rotting the earth long before he ever raises an army. Built atop that dead hill is Dol Guldur. Dol Guldur was Sauron's stronghold in the forest, translating from Elvish to the Hill of Sorcery. Its architecture is a utilitarian collection of rusted iron spires and sprawling slaughter pens. There are no grand halls or sweeping towers here. This unglamorous design reflects Sauron in his most parasitic state, focusing entirely on function over form. The interior consists of cramped, suspended iron cages, left to hang directly over deep pits of churning black mud. This architectural cross-section maps the precise spatial geometry of the fortress pits. Tightly stacking cages vertically establishes suffocating spatial constraints. This layout maximizes psychological despair. Captives are forced into minimal physical space, unable to stand upright or lie down. High-value prisoners, like the dwarf King Thrain, were held here, a captured sovereign of Durin's folk, possessing a ring of power. Broken down by slow decay, deprived of sanity through isolation, rather than active physical torture. Dol Guldur functioned as a clinical mechanism designed to slowly strip away the identity of its inhabitants through spatial deprivation. Deep within the walls lies the inner courtyard. It contains a shattered stone altar choked by black thorns and a single rusted iron gauntlet submerged in greasy, stagnant water. Step into the center of the courtyard, and the atmospheric pressure shifts. The heavy, unnatural silence creates a sensation of being watched by the very stones, inducing a mental fog that makes even the simplest act of defiance feel physically impossible. Sauron's true genius while in hiding lay in turning passive geography into an active psychological weapon. In the year 2941 of the Third Age, Dol Guldur faced a direct assault from the White Council. The White Council was an elite alliance of powerful elves and wizards dedicated to opposing the return of evil to Middle-earth. The accepted historical narrative claims that these wise leaders successfully broke the fortress, drove out the Necromancer, and cleansed the forest. Yet the physical reality of the site tells a grimmer story. The ruins left behind consist of charred, blackened foundations still deeply embedded in the diseased earth. A toxic, sickly yellow phosphorescent fungus survives in the cracks of the masonry. It actively resisted the White Council's scorched earth cleansing fires, clinging to the dead stone. Sauron merely feigned his retreat to Mordor. He sacrificed the outer stone walls of his fortress, but he left the deep biological root of his corruption entirely intact. The White Council's victory was a strategic illusion. Conventional magical force cannot simply burn away a supernatural cancer once it has bonded with the ecosystem. The necrotic infection rewrote the baseline chemistry of the soil. Even with the master gone, the land itself remains a host for the sickness, ensuring the ruins continue to breed horrors. The descendants of Ungoliant, an ancient primordial spider, thrive in these ruins. They use the rusted remnants of the Dark Army's armor as their nests. The physical architecture of evil was easily shattered by the elves and wizards, but the pathogen Sauron injected into the earth is patient, enduring, and completely incurable.